We have Kellyanne Conway, former senior counselor to President Trump, now president of KA Consulting and a Fox News contributor, and David Asman, Fox Business anchor. Great to have both of you with us today on the first full day, 99 days in the first 100 days to go. And we're going to see a lot of action, no doubt. Kellyanne, you know, I thought this was interesting, this piece by Walter Russell Mead in the Wall Street Journal talking about American exceptionalism returning. And he says his remarkable political recovery demonstrates the enduring strength of American cultural forces that have for more than 2 centuries made America uniquely hospitable to the disruption and chaos that dynamic capitalism inevitably brings. And I know David Asman's going to love that that concept. But Kellyanne, let me get your thoughts on that and your reaction as we see a lot of action already.
Martha, nice to be with David and you. Thank you. Sure. Day one already feels like dog years. That's the Trump speed. Everything goes very quickly in all dimensions. But that's what Americans voted for and expect. As for this American exceptionalism, this is important because for years that really undergirded the center-right political movement in this nation. Whether you are a foreign policy, national security Republican or a fiscal social conservative, you felt that America was not just another country on the map. It is an exceptional place. And we have had presidents and other elected officials who have sort of dismissed, if not denigrated, and denied that. Now with President Trump, even in his speech yesterday, I want to be known my legacy as a unifier, a peacemaker. I thought his speech was also very aspirational, very optimistic, forward-looking, unleashing a golden age. Sure, he looks backwards a little bit, airs his grievances, who doesn't? But at the same time, he is aligned with this op-ed in this way. The op-ed says that it is Americans' sort of sturdiness that can overcome the natural chaos that comes from a dynamic system of capitalism and democracy. Why is that important? Because when it comes to Trump, so many people say, well, he creates the chaos. He creates the disruption. That op-ed makes clear it's already in the system. It's how you deal with that that matters. And I think him taking quick action on any number of issues and people applauding because they understand what the Paris Climate Accords are. They understand what deregulation is. They understand what the Tax Cut and Jobs Act meant for individuals and entities and small businesses across the country. They understand what it means to have the hostage families there from the Middle East. So it's not just that people are applauding him blindly and loyal to him. They're loyal to a set of principles. He beat the prosecutors, the persecutors. He won the policy prescription debate. And now he has the political trifecta of Washington, House, Senate, White House. Got to take advantage of that.
That's exactly, that's exactly what he's working on right now with Thune and Johnson. Let me get you in here, David. You know, starting with Doge. And I think, you know, it has to be recognized the influence that Musk has had on cutting spending. Yes. And I think that was in many ways the initial sort of exchange for Musk's support was that there would be this Department of Government efficiency, David. And we've already seen it shrinking federal government, a hiring freeze going into effect, and the elimination of federal DEI agency workers. They will be gone. And guess what? Federal workers have to return to the office 5 days a week.
Surprise, surprise. You have to be there to get something done.
Yep.
Productivity. And I would just build on what Kellyanne would say. It's a difference between reality and fantasy. The world in which the Biden policies were constructed was a fantasy world, whether you were talking about the border, which we all knew was open and they claim was closed, whether you were talking with the economy, green energy programs that didn't work, that they were spending billions of dollars on, a CHIPS Act in which they were spending billions of dollars in corporate welfare going to companies like Intel, which did worse after they received the money. It's why President Trump was talking about common sense, what works and what doesn't work. And it's not a coincidence that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are two very successful business people. If you go into business with the fantasy, you may win short term and fool some people, but eventually the reality catches up with you and you end up with a losing business. The same is true with public policy. We have had 4 years of policy built on fantasy, not on the real world, but on the imagined world of a lot of these liberal policymakers, and the stuff didn't work. Crime is another example. You go on and on and on. Foreign policy, all of these. Remember that foreign policy expert from the State Department who said the Middle East has never been more peaceful now? That was a week before October 7th. They just have this fantasy notion of what to do with policy that doesn't work. Elon Musk, Donald Trump has spent their lifetime working with reality and making things work in reality.
Yeah, they know how to cut costs because that's what you have to do when you run a business. You know, I'm curious what your thoughts are, Kellyanne, in terms of what this big announcement might be that we're expecting to get in a short time. There was some discussion that it may be about unused funds from the Inflation Reduction Act or even COVID funds that were designated for infrastructure. What's your hunch?
Sure. So the Inflation Reduction Act passed on a completely partisan vote. This is important, Martha, because it wasn't an Inflation Reduction Act at all. In fact, the special green envoy, John Kerry, said this is really a climate bill. It's a green bill. And when you take a look at the facts undergirding the Inflation Reduction Act, it gutted Medicare by $237 billion, and that went to migrant care, that went to these climate change, compliance, green stuff, in addition to all the other things that were called infrastructure, EV chargers, 500,000 of them. 8 had been built by October and November. So President Trump is going to get in there and do a couple things. Number one, get us back to where we were with him. But number two, they broke it, I fixed it. They ignored it, I'll tackle it. On this, on infrastructure, on AI, on unspent funds, he can say this is another kind of waste. They said they spent all this money on XYZ. It's still sitting there. We're not going to put it there. We're going to put it ABC, which is what you voted for. Also, if the president tackles AI and even crypto early on, he's showing a recognition of what has evolved since he left the White House 4 years ago. These are two areas, and I've discussed this with him directly, these are two areas that have just exploded. They certainly existed in 2020 and 2019, but they've just exploded, and he recognizes that by having some true crypto and AI experts around him. AI needs to be seen as a force for good. We don't want the Trump voters to think their jobs will go away because of AI and robotics. It's quite the opposite in some of these fields. So I'm glad he's tackling that early on and level setting expectations.
Can I just say one thing about
Sure.
AI, which is that it needs a lot of energy to work. And that's why they're creating all these new data centers, et cetera. And you're not going to get it from windmills. I'm sorry, but you're just not. You have to focus on energy, the energy that we have in the United States that produces enough energy for all these magnificent new things that we're going to be able to take advantage of. That's why his energy component is so key to the whole plan, and why, frankly, the windmill program of the past administration, on which they wasted literally more than $100 billion, was frankly just a lot of waste of money. That's why the clawback would be so great if what Kellyanne says happens.
And this is why when I see the tech giants at the inauguration, I see them as a team to make sure that we lead in AI, as people who understand how to harness it, and what we all need to understand and know to dominate in it, because we have to dominate in AI. We can't allow China to take that role. My thanks to both of you. Great to see you, and hope to see you a lot as we cover these first 100 days. David Asman, Kellyanne Conway, thank you both.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.